So welcome everyone to the next developer meeting. Let me share first the agenda of today because I want to start the meeting with a great news. Keptn is officially now an incubating project of the CNCF. So very compliments to everyone involved. Kudos. Yesterday evening or maybe morning for the US folks, they released a blog post where they officialized this, the results of the voting. And you can see now in the CNCF landscape page that Keptn is prominent. Oh, I don't know if this small window I can fit everything. Yeah. But you see here, Keptn now is officially an incubation project.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. So kudos to everyone again. Please.
Yeah, we completed all the checklist for incubating projects right now. So from a logistics standpoint, it's all done. Later, there will be follow-up, like transferring all the project infrastructure to the CNCF, ensuring that there is access to Keptn accounts by the CNCF, and all other hoops which are expected from the incubating projects. But this part is completed. Another thing which is on our list is security audit. The ball is currently on my side. We did a few initial iterations, but I guess full audit will rather happen after the summer vacation break. But this process is also pending. And we know that there is one issue we will need to look into is secret storage, because right now we definitely have evidence that, well, not everything is stored as it should be. For example, passing of credentials through Helm charts in some cases and other bits. So there will be work which is required, but we will get to that once we prioritize all other things.
What kind of infrastructure is going to be moved to the CNCF? Do you know?
Well, in theory, everything. So, for example, currently there is Netlify account. It's paid from my credit card. There is a bunch of other things owned by Dynatrace for Keptn. Ideally, everything should be moved over the CNCF so that the CNCF can access it and manage that as it expects to do for all incubating and graduated projects. And potentially it includes Twitter accounts and all other social media, which is the easy part. But yeah, the problematic part for us is all the ecosystem, hosting, Helm chart services, and other bits. So we will need to look into this infrastructure. If anything is hosted on GCP, I believe some of the bits are hosted on Dynatrace GCP at the moment. So it will need to be transferred.
But Moritz, just for clarifying things, like our integration test can still be run over GKE. It's not an issue, that part, for instance.
Not at all.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, after this great news, maybe we can hand over to, I think this item is from Adam, installation dependencies. Am I right?
Yep, hopefully you can hear me because this is, just give me a nod. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sometimes the browser.
Sound good.
Cool. All right. This one, basically when you first install Keptn, the pods error, they crash loop back off, and then eventually everything kind of settles down and things become running. I've been on a number of calls where basically my concern here are twofold. One, if someone's new to Keptn and they install and they see things erroring, they're just gonna go, oh well, it's broken, I'm not gonna wait around. But secondly, more important, and to the previous point, we've got the tutorials on Killercoder now, and so that has a direct cost implication, because the Helm, if you wait for the Helm chart to come up, it can take 5 or 6, 7 minutes. So really the ask is just to work with someone or somebody help me understand why that happens, and then we can, from there, we can figure out how to either work around it or fix it or improve that. Does that make sense? Cool.
So a quick question on my side. You observed this crash loop error with Keptn 14. Was the same with the most recent versions, 16 and 17, or?
As far as I'm aware, yeah, I don't think anything's really changed in that regard.
Okay, maybe we can set up a call where you show us an environment where this error occurs so we can investigate a bit more and then take some action items out of that.
Yep.
I can already tell you what's probably going on. Since we have this dependency on nuts, we need to wait like for the event broker basically to start up until everything else can start up. And then also the shipyard controller, again, everything depends on that. So everything needs to wait until that is up. So we have kind of a staggered startup, and that's why stuff is failing in the beginning.
Okay, maybe we can follow up.
Put something on the screen so the user understands that this is normal? Or not really?
Not really. I don't think you can even open the bridge before that. I'm not fully sure. But we can definitely do something about the crash loops, I would say.
Okay, but the action item is to take this offline of this meeting and then find some action item how to improve this startup installation phase. Okay, then I think we can go over to the next item. Let me share again my screen. I want to discuss a bug that was recently solved by Klaus. Oops, wrong. Go to the next one. So in Keptn 17, there is an issue. Damn it. I need to open it. When you open the bridge and you try to copy your auth command from the UI, it will provide you with a wrong auth command, because here the endpoint value of the auth command is filling with the wrong data. Instead of using the public available URL of your Keptn installation, tries to use the Kubernetes service name instead. Hence, there will be a wrong value put here. So in Keptn 17, please mind that if you try to copy that from the bridge, you need to adapt this endpoint to make use of your real Keptn public URL. But this has been fixed, and then we'll backport it to Keptn 17.1. And with that, I think I can hand over to Heinz if there are no questions. Looks like nope. Then Heinz, please.
It looks like he's not in the call any longer, maybe having technical issues. Maybe skip him for now and then return to him.
Yeah. Then Flo.
All right. Just a second. You should now see my screen. Okay, let's see. Today I have 3 pull requests that I want to show you. The first one is about integration tests. So recently we started working on improving the speed of those a little bit, and one part of that was that, here we have it. Yeah, so for example, if you look at this issue here, we discovered that at some places we, during an integration test, we start a full delivery sequence of potato head, and in some of the tests that's actually not really needed. So for example, in the backup restore test, we just want to verify that after doing a MongoDB backup and restore, whether we still see all events via the API. So this doesn't have anything to do with a particular delivery sequence. So that's why we removed it from that. And the same thing for the SSH public key auth test and proxy auth, which basically check whether a new project can be created with SSH or with a proxy to a Git repository. So that's why we didn't really need the delivery sequence, as I said. And in each of the cases where we do execute a sequence just for the sake of getting events, I pretty much just executed the dummy sequence, a very simple and shorter one, to make the tests a little bit faster. And then also in some places we didn't make use of the temp dir function in Go, but we rather just created directories in the folder where the tests were running. And that was a little bit inconvenient if, for example, you were executing the integration tests locally on your machine, because, for example, for the MongoDB backup, you would suddenly get the folder containing all the MongoDB data within your clone of the Keptn repository. Now we're making use of the temp dir directory to create this temporary directory somewhere else. At the end of the tests, we're removing it, and now that's a little bit cleaner altogether. All right, any questions about this PR? All right, if not, then let's continue with the next one. So that was about the Go utils. So this was about ensuring that all the components that are involved in connecting to the control plane and subscribing to events and also sending events back to Keptn were shut down properly in case a pod gets killed, for example, during an upgrade to a newer version of the service. And one thing that we found, let me just check if I can find it here. Yeah, so we had a closer look at the nuts documentation, and there it was mentioned that if you call the publish method to send an event to nuts, it might be that it's not directly sent to the server. So nuts internally keeps a local cache. And of course, when that cache is full, it will send everything to the server. But during the shutdown, to really ensure that you don't kill the pod with anything left in the cache, in nuts, it's recommended to invoke the flush method, which will ensure that all data is being sent to the server. And now we added that to the disconnect function, which is called at the end of the execution of a Keptn service, which is connected to the control plane via the CP connector API library. And this way we ensure that everything is written to nuts. Just to be safe, we didn't really actually discover this, or we didn't encounter a problem where an event wasn't sent immediately to nuts after invoking the publish method. But this way, we are really, really, really sure that everything is written. Any questions about that? All right, then let's continue with the last one for today.
Really nice to have additional stability hardenings, because yeah, every such change makes it quite important for Keptn users.
Exactly, yeah. All right, yeah, let's continue with the last one. That was about the webhook service. So here we had an edge case. Let me just open the screen here. The issue here. So here we had an edge case where the webhook service was subscribed to a started event, and in this case, obviously, when the webhook service processes that kind of event, we don't want it to respond with a started and a finished event on its own. And usually that is not the case, but here we had an edge case where the webhook service received the started event and then tried to retrieve the webhook configuration YAML to look for the appropriate webhook to be executed. But at that point in time, the project was not available anymore. So we had an error during the retrieval of the webhook file. And in that error case, it then responded with a started event. And the reason for that is, where do I have it? The reason for that is that we have this on pre-execution error method within the webhook service, which is executed if there's an error before we even retrieve the appropriate webhook configuration. And in that case, it always responded with started and the finished event. And the fix was just to check for the event type of the incoming event that it tried to process. And only if that was a tasked or triggered event, it will respond with started and finished event, but not for started or for finished events anymore. All right, any questions about that? If not, I will hand over to the next one.
Or since Heinz is back in the call, maybe we can go one step back.
Yeah, sorry.
Awesome.
I don't know why they kicked me out there. What did we do in the bridge team? We modularized the Angular application. So beforehand, the single page applications, all of the code was transferred to your browser. And with the modularization, only the stuff you need for that certain page or navigation path, the code is delivered to your browser. So you get smaller chunks.
And you might want to share your screen.
Yes, I'm on it. So yeah, there we see it. There's a screenshot from before my installation on the Google platform. So there we see that the main JS file has more than 3 megabytes and some other files as well. So quite big application. And with the modularization, you can see it here. We have smaller. We have more files, but they are smaller, and the main part of the JavaScript is went down to 1.5 megabytes. So yeah, a lot of improvement. I think we will even have better results when it's all cleared. Just a master branch from yesterday, I think. So yeah, so everything is smaller, and yeah, the page load is faster. Everything will be faster. So that's the gain from it. So that's basically it. Are there any questions? Okay, then thanks, and please the next one.
I think that's me now. Let me quickly share as well here. Okay, so in the last sprint, I mostly worked on a new pipeline for some scans with common security tools. And I will quickly show off what I did here. So basically, we have a completely new GitHub Actions pipeline here now called security scans, which runs on a scheduled interval. So it will run every Monday morning in UTC time. And basically, what it does, it will render our Helm installer and then scan that installer with commonly used security tools. And I introduced a few different ones. Kicks, which is kind of yeah, it's kind of a best practice to use that. It's a security tool, Kubescape, with different testing frameworks that they have available, and then kubeconform, which is more on the Kubernetes API YAML level of scanning. So it ensures that our YAML is correct in every way. Yeah, and basically we get a nice output of security results. When we go to the security scans here, let's see, that's some newer ones, but basically you get for every single one of those scans, you get an output, and you can already see that we have some work to do here, as Oleg already mentioned as well. So those results here kind of overlap with what he said earlier as well. I'm actually also working on a POC right now to integrate Sneak with our tooling here to have one additional tool. So that's that. Any questions to this one? Okay, then I'm gonna go right over to some improvements that I already did as an outcome from those scans. So for now, it's just in the Helm installer, but there will be some other security fixes in the code directly as well. For now, I introduced some more resource limits and requests. This is for our MongoDB instance. I kind of checked against common usage patterns and chose some very generous resource limits. So you shouldn't really run into any issues there, but still, if you do, you can still adjust this in the Helm values. So this is just customization in our Helm values file. So this is easily overridable by users if it's necessary. Also, I added this drop all capabilities. So this is some security settings in Kubernetes to kind of drop all Linux capabilities. This is kind of best practices that you should do that we didn't do before and are doing now basically for all our Keptn services for Keptn Core. Yeah, there's more to follow. I have another PR open that's not merged yet. I'm still working on some stuff and some more security improvements. And then later on, we can definitely look into the reports that the tools generate and create some more action items out of that, basically. And that's it from me. Handing over to the next person, which is Anna. And we can't hear.
You're still muted. Still muted. No. Oh, no.
No, yes. Cool. All the time.
Yes.
I share my screen. Okay. So I have a bunch of PRs which were cleaned up, like Flo mentioned, of the integration test. This is one is just removing some redundant tests we had and that are now done as either unit test or separate pipeline, like the zero downtime. Nothing much to say about this. I also worked on the remediation service. This is a SDK-based service, and we moved most of the integration tests we had for this service to component test. I just wanted to shamelessly make some kind of advertisement about SDK, about how easy it is to make tests using it, and how easy it was to improve the coverage, because here I have another PR in which basically we reached 100% coverage of the service thanks to using the fake Keptn of the SDK. Yeah, nothing much to say about this. Another thing that I wanted to mention is this PR, which is on the migrating towards resource service. These are actually two PRs. First one is a GoUtil change. This is breaking change every single file in GoUtils in which we mentioned configuration service. Now we are instead using a resource service. This means that the library is now incompatible with the older version of Keptn, of course, unless you install by hand the resource service, but still it will work. The changes in Keptn, half of those changes were done by Florian, I think. But basically, right now, what is important to know is that in the installer file, we have both services, resource services and configuration services, pointing to resource service. This should help with zero downtime, the upgrade of your installation. And we plan then later on to remove the second one. And I think there has been some similar changes in the Nginx configurations, so that now also the resource service path are allowed. And what else was there? Flo, was it the accounts that changed as well that are not in this PR probably? Was it? I think so. Yeah, so if I recall correctly, also service accounts are for both services right now, and later on will be migrated only to resource service. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
Service.
Okay. That's, I think, more or less it from my side. If you don't have any questions, I stop sharing.
Okay, after this bad noise, I think Paolo, you're left.
Yeah. First of all, confirm that you can still hear me and I'm talking to myself. That would be great. Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
And I just want to briefly introduce something particularly we worked on the last few weeks on wait a second, I just have to select this current screen. Okay, I think this is one. All right, you should be able to see my screen right now. So I don't know if any of you had a look recently at the Swagger UI of Keptn, and you saw that there is a new endpoint here defined. Just wanted to introduce it and explain what it is for, at which point we are, and so on. So the input endpoint is part of the API service. And the idea behind it is that we have a way to, let's say, apply some prepackaged configuration, including some resources to a Keptn installation to a given project that's already existing. That's its purpose, more or less. It's still an alpha, it's still not done completely. For the moment, the current implementation is gone across 3 pull requests. We're still developing it. There's still some feature missing, but just to give you a very, very basic description of what it does, the idea is that the user is able to upload a zip package, zip archive, which contains a manifest. I can show you the sample one here. The simple manifest contains some operation to perform and to apply. For example, some API calls to create a service, to add some YAML file to upload the resource, anything you can think of. The idea is that it can be done in some sort of generic way as much as possible. So the point is that you prepare the package, prepare the zip with everything you need, with all the sequence of tasks that need to be performed. You select a project. Right now, I'm selecting in my local installation a test input which has no service there, and I will try to basically create a service and upload a couple of webhook YAML config. You will see multiple copies, but this is for testing purposes, not demo purposes. But yeah, the archive is the same. So if I just execute this, the effect of the sample package, which is the same zip as I saw before, for the moment there is nothing in output. Again, under development, this will change. But the idea is that now what I'm going to have, as soon as I can refresh my bridge page, is that test input all of a sudden has a test service, which was not before, created with importing of the package. And if I look inside the service itself, if I manage to, maybe, not sure. The idea is that within test service, you can see some resources. This, for some reason, it's not working anymore, but yeah. Trust me on that one. It's there.
You need to go to the settings and then the service.
Really? It wasn't available also here. Okay. Yeah,
Then
sorry, you're
services.
right. Yeah, you're right. Then they said that. Hello? Modify. Thank you. Yeah, the main point is, as I said, we want to give Keptn the ability of importing some sort of prepackaged configuration. It's nothing completely new. It's something that could be done already with the API. The idea is that instead of the user creating a script which calls all the right API endpoints with all the prepared input and whatnot, it's just preparing a very simple archive. There will be, it's not yet there, but there will be some templating capabilities so that the content of the API calls and of the resource file being uploaded can be customized depending on environment, depending on variables, depending on other stuff. But yeah, the idea is that it's there, it's still being developed, and don't be scared if you see it. If you want to try and have fun with it, please do. We still didn't publish the full draft of the manifest and the format because it's still under development, but will be published pretty soon on some documentation site. Not sure exactly where, if we're going to include directly within the README or somewhere else, but we are going to do that pretty soon. Are there any questions about this endpoint, about this service, about what we're trying to do here, or anything else? Okay. Then I guess that I was the last speaker, so I give back the sharing and the mic to whoever's next. No idea.
I think everyone has a chance to speak. There are no messages in the chat, so any question from the audience? Looks like no. Hence, I think we can close the meeting a bit earlier than usual. Thanks a lot and very nice progress as always. Looking forward to make use of the import endpoint to simplify also the usage of tutorials. This way we can have for instance, the Potato Head project as a simple zip that the user can just upload via this endpoint, and then automatically a full project is already there, configured with services, a way to trigger new sequences, and the webhook configuration for that. So
nice.
With that, yes, Mac, do you have anything?
No, I just say nice. No, just peanut gallery.
Okay, then thanks everyone, and have a great day, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Hey.